Welcome to Yachting 101. The tender's just overheated, full of our provisions. It's close. It's probably maybe smoke just burning off the paint job we just did. So we just painted the engines. It's the first time I've given it a good run. So they've dropped the anchors. They're going to sit there. We've told them not to do anything, just relax, chill, and we're going to start the main engines up, move the vessel over on anchor, and pick them up.
It does happen from time to time with certain tenders. So we're going to swing around on the anchor just to go and pick them up and take it from there.
Dan, what's the story? What happened?
Well, we went in to get provisions, and on the way back out, the people on the back seat started feeling their butts getting a little warm. And then there was a lot of smoke, so we opened it up, aired it out, and now engineers have to do their miracle work and figure out what the problem is. Because sheetcocks were open, everything was good. So I don't know what it was, but something was not right.
Alright folks, so it's not all perfect in yachting, not everything works out your way. Engineers are starting, he's got that stressed look about him already. But it's simple. It's something's happened. We don't want to go into blame or get upset or get stressed. You can see there's some coolant around here at the moment. So the top of the coolant maybe was filled up a little bit higher and it's expanded, and then the coolant would have went onto some of the hotter equipment like the exhaust or turbo and started to smoke that white smoke. So there's no burning mark. You can see the damage to the top of the coolant tank here. So what may have happened is either the vent on top of the coolant tank is either broken or it's been tightened too much by one of the crew and it's expanded and then coolant spout out. But more than likely it's a simple case of just crew overfilling the coolant as they've replaced the coolant, because this is all brand new coolant. So what we're going to do now, engineers are always a sensitive group of people. We love them, but we're going to give them as much access to it as possible. They don't like working on tenders that it's in the water bouncing around, and it's not as safe as having it on deck. So we're going to take the whole engine cover off, put it on deck, take the tender up on deck, and then they have full access to it. And they'll take their time, they'll go through the systematic approaches, clean it up, put new coolant in, fire it up, start again. We're just coming into Golfito, just checking with the harbour master, Pedro. This is Marina Bahia Golfito, but it's in like an enclosed little enclave. So this is a really secluded anchorage. There's a little channel that comes in. So all year round, beautiful anchorage, lovely people, really remote. Like it's quiet, you can hear the birds. It's a stunning part of the world. And we're just checking out the dock right now and looking for where the shore power is. Most people wait for the last minute and get a bit stressed of, oh, move the boat back or forward, but you want to eliminate all the obstacles before you even get near the dock, so it's pretty chilled, you know. So we know the shore power's a little bit further back. We're not going to use it tonight, so we're just going to go in and then we're going to clear in and then go back out to anchorage. And that's pretty smooth. There's no wind, 10 knots off the starboard bow. Edian's docking today. Crew are already briefed, trained, so we're ready to roll. So just enjoy the view, basically. So we're looking at the maneuvering here. We want to come upwind a little bit, so we don't want to really just start parallel and walk. Every dock's different, so you kind of have to work out what works best for you and your style of maneuvering. I try not to teach people a certain way. I try and teach people to understand the movement of the yacht. You know what I mean? And then find out where you're comfortable. The goal is to not have to worry too much when you get beside the dock. So at this point, Edian's just lining it up. We're getting about 26 foot, about a beam off the dock, and we'll come back into position, and then we'll do the final move over. So I like doing that, kind of getting the beams off the dock, so then you see the effects of the wind. And so you got enough time to kind of counter out the effects of the wind. You know what I mean? So right now, it'll take us another probably 5 minutes, and we'll start coming back, and then we'll be about a beam off. So the most important thing is now I kind of give a little bit of responsibility to all the different departments. So Lewin's on the stern. I'm saying, Lewin, tell us what you need from us. So he's got a better view of the dock and the angles. So he's telling us our stern's in line with the end of the dock. We know we're a beam off. Edian's going to center the rudders, and then we're going to go straight astern and kind of move the vessel back into the position we want. And then he'll adjust the bow thruster. If the stern's going too far out, he'll move the bow thruster out to starboard. Copy that. The challenge with this dock is it's surging. So if you take a picture of the dock's moving in and out, kind of up and down. So the tough job is zoning all that out. And he's simply just got to focus on keeping the vessel parallel as we come back into position. Not getting too much closer, not getting too further away, just figuring out the parallel movements. You do that by referencing something on your perpendicular. So right now I reference the restaurants and say the pier. I see how far I'm coming astern. And then really Edian's just kind of relaxing right now. He's not really doing too much with the engine. It's a natural drift. So there's not much engine movement. And that's where people kind of go a little bit wrong. They start overcorrecting. So he's just kicking it ahead on the port engine. And as you can see, the vessel comes in slightly. And this is kind of the point now. We need to go back 40 meters. The boat's still parallel to the dock. And this is a perfect kind of spot to just go, all right, start looking at the dock itself. What cleats you've got, what's the lineup, give the lads a wave. And then they know we're kind of coming in. And you can learn a look now, we're not moving ahead, we don't need any engine movements. And the vessel's still coming in. And this is kind of the key where you don't do too much except just use the thrusters. And this is where Edian's kind of just looking down the side and he looks at his line and he's relying now on his crew getting that onto a cleat and winching it in. And then he looks forward, looks at the bow line, waits for them to put it on, and slowly moves in so the fenders touch at the same time they bring tension on the line. The bow thruster there's a propeller on the bow that's run by hydraulics off the main engine and stabilizers. It's on the bow is more powerful than the stern. The stern is more of an electric system rather than a hydraulic system, but every vessel is different. So now Eddie is just going to push in with the stern thruster. You can see the line slowly tightening. We put two lines on, one on the bow, one on the stern at 45, so it secures the vessel. And then we do two crossovers, one stopping us going stern, one stopping us going forward. And then you kind of just let the boat settle. Just let it settle for a second. Be patient at this point. You know, Edian's ready to go on the stern, bow thruster engines, but he's not actually doing anything per se. You know, now he's waiting for the crew. And I always say the crew are the ones that tie the boat up. We just put it where you want us. Lewin called us where he wanted it, position-wise, 6 back, 3 in. We put it there. They are trained to secure it in the most professional, safest way. And that's why at this point, shouldn't be any screaming or yelling. They've made their decisions, you know? Any questions, let us know. Follow us on Yacht Unbridled. And then the shutdown is pretty important. We always call the engineers, finish with engines, thanks. Even if you see them or right beside them, you've got to verbally do it so everyone understands engines are shutting down. Radar's off on both sides.
What's the purpose of the radars off? So
Radar is what we use for navigation underway, but I always make sure they're off before we get to the dock. And then once we get to the dock, just make sure they're off, your radars. Make sure you take control of the equipment back at the helm. So it's not out on the wing, because he'll transfer controls to here now. This is hot. We turn the bow thruster, the stern thrusters off. Make sure autopilot's off. And then we turn our steering pumps off. And then the engineers will take control. These are the steering pumps. Then the engineers take control and they'll shut down the engines from downstairs and ready for our next adventure. Most important thing is a little debrief, like it's informal and doesn't really have to be much. And it's like, how did you think you went, Eddie, and any questions?
Well, I probably made the turn a little bit too early, so I had a lot of walking over to do to get here, so it took a little bit longer than normal. And then I saw my rudder angle was the wrong way as well, so it made my life a little bit more difficult to come in. But yeah, that's two things I see.
Yeah, I was saying that was it. I mean, but it's patient. Better being further off than further in to the dock. So, and then the deck crew did really well. There was no screaming, yelling, and that was it. I think the angle of the lines we've got to work on with the boys. You know?
Yeah, get a little bit better leads when they choose the bollards and stuff.
Because when they choose further forward or further aft, they have to make sure the bow and the stern understand what cleats they're tying up to before they both agree. Sometimes they want one wants a metre forward, sometimes one wants a metre aft, and that's up to them to communicate. So we have our chat. Eddie will speak to the bosun or second officer, and then the boys will have a chat, and then they'll, we'll review it and get better again. Cheers, mate.
Happy days. Thank you, Kev.